For this unit, we're also going to be looking at distance. Just like midpoint, distance comes with its own formula, and we're basing it off of being given 2 points on a coordinate plane. So that's our x1, y1, and our x2, y2. Our formula, it's going to look a little bit long, but it's d equals the square root, and then underneath our square root, it's x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. When we use this, we are going to most likely be given either 2 points or a graph. For example number 1, we are given a graph. So the first thing that we want to do is pick out what those points are. As you can see, it's already been written up top that we're talking about the points -5, 3 and -2, -3. I'm going to take the distance formula and plug those in. When we do that, we have to make sure that we are following order of operations underneath our square root. So we do want to do each set of parentheses first. -3 minus 3 gives me -6. Then -6 squared gives me 36. When I do -2 minus -5, that does become +3. And then +3 squared is 9. When I add them together, I get a square root of 45. A lot of the times we are going to write our answers as a decimal. Sometimes I'll have you do it as a square root, and we'll talk about that at another time. But right now you can just plug in the square root of 45 into Desmos and do the tenths or the hundredths approximation for that. Number 2, we're again going to plug our 2 points into the distance formula, and we are going to solve. Again, always doing our parentheses underneath the square root first. We get 4 plus 49, and we get the square root of 53. And again, using Desmos, we find that that's approximately 7.3. These squiggles mean the approximately. It's not exactly equal to 7.3, but it's pretty close. Again, with number 3, we are just going to plug in to our formula. We are going to find that it is approximately 18.7. Now, the unfortunate part is with this distance formula, you are going to have to remember that. That is not on your formula sheet for this year. So we just need to work on remembering it. It's the x2 minus x1 squared, y2 minus y1 squared. Add those together and then take the square root. We're going to do a couple more practice problems, and I'm going to show you those. Again, we always want to set it up using that distance formula. If it helps you, you can write the distance formula at the top of your paper or to the side. But when we write that in, it's going to be 3 minus -4. Remember, when we subtract a negative, that turns into a positive. And then when we do -7 minus 6, we'll square those, we'll add them together, we'll get approximately 14.8. 2, 3, and 4 are the same way, so I'm just going to show you those answers. I'm going to go down and talk about number 5. Again, number 5, we're going to use that same process, but we've been given a graph with 2 points to start, so we have to figure out what those 2 points are. The points that I'm looking at in this case are 2, 7 and -6, -2. And now that I have those points, I can find what my distance is. So again, plugging into my distance formula, we find that the distance is approximately 12.0. Now we don't want to write just 12, because if it was just 12, then I would have taken the square root of 144. So we do need that 0.0 to indicate that it's been rounded. And again, that's our distance. We are going to have to remember that formula, but we'll be doing a ton of practice in class.